Yeah, that's perfect. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Hey everybody, how you doing? Jaquetta Williams here. Thank you for coming back to the show. I have always wanted to do a show about, why black people decided to join Black Greek letter organizations. And I said something online recently that caused somewhat of a stir, and I wanted one of my line sisters to come on with me to talk about why we chose AKA. So you're seeing my Sarah Kathy.
Good morning.
The funny thing about Kathy, let me tell you this quick story. Funny thing about Kathy, when we were online, of course, we all wanted to know how to ski wee, right? So, the ski wee is a really high pitched, it's that.
Yes.
Baby, the way Kathy used to ski wee used to send us to the moon and back. Do it for us, Kathy. Do it for us, Kathy. The way you did not do it like that
I
back
did
then.
not.
You did not do it like that back
It was
then.
bad. I can't even remember.
I do. I'll tell you. Let me
Yeah,
let me
tell
show
the
you how she
story.
did it. She said, "Ski wee, ski wee." Girl, I
You
remember
telling it
so.
all.
I'm telling it all, girl. I remember being in I think it was your mom's house with that little
Yes,
dog she had, girl, and you were the funniest thing known to man. Okay, so
but I've
welcome,
gotten
Sarah
better.
Kathy. You have gotten so much better, honey. You
Yes.
did that thing. So tell me, what made you decide to choose Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated?
Let me tell you, Jaquetta, when you asked me about, just being a part of this conversation, I really didn't have to put much thought to it because I walk in it. Like
Mm-hmm.
every day, I think I say to myself, why do you do the things you do? And of course, I say I do them now for my children, for my girls, so that they see this person. So I'm an only child, and I am the second generation college graduate. So in that, my mother often says that she has all of her eggs in one basket, right?
Yeah.
So one of my best friends, like literally since childhood, her mother is AKA who pledged Gamma Upsilon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so
And for those
not
of you who
really,
don't know, really quickly,
sorry.
Gamma Upsilon is Savannah State
Yes.
College,
Yes.
which
And
is
that
where
is
we both
our chapter.
graduated.
Exactly.
Yes.
So Joyce Dingle is her name.
Mm-hmm.
And she has been that person. And she wasn't the woman that had paraphernalia on every day. She wasn't the woman that when you went in her house, you saw pink and green on the walls and all. She was Alpha Kappa Alpha. And I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be that person. Her daughter, my girlfriend's sister, went to UGA and was one of the first Black women to be crowned as Black UGA. I was like, oh my God, it just confirmed my decision over and over and over again. And so when I had the opportunity, I'm in college, I was really focused on just first graduating. So I
Mm-hmm.
am one of those who matriculated and worked at the same time, but I was
Mm-hmm.
not going to complete my matriculation in college without meeting the goal of being a woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha. So when my opportunity came, I was ready.
You were ready.
I was
The
ready.
funny thing is, I'll tell a really quick backstory too, since we're talking about it. When I initially went to Savannah State, my mindset was not on any Greek letter organization per se. I did know about AKA, but I also knew about Delta Sigma Theta. And if I'm honest, I had a teacher who was my mentor. Her name is Dr. Millicent Mazik. She was a Delta. Now, if you looked at her on the street, you would think she was not of, African descent, but she is. And so she carried herself so honorably as a Delta. I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll do that. I got a scholarship from the Deltas. I got a scholarship from the Omegas. So by the time I got to Savannah State, I was really trying to do my research on Delta. I will never forget it. I met another girl. Her name was Jaquetta. And I
I
knocked on,
know who you.
she spelled it
I
completely
know
different.
exactly who she is.
But I knocked on her door and I was like, hi, I'm new to campus. My name is Jaquetta. I know that you're a Delta. Baby, the way she looked at me and was like, if you don't get out my face and
Ooh.
off, and like she just was kind of like,
Mm.
and closed the door. And I was like, wow. And then as I looked at the other Deltas, I remember there was a step show and the Deltas were out in force. It was like just a herd of them. And they were just stomping and beating and they were just very aggressive. And I was like, that is not me. And I remember, baby, I remember the AKAs. It was Michelle, it was Jamie J. Cox, it was maybe like two other girls. And they were like,
yes.
And I was like, well, that's me right there.
That's me.
I want to do that.
That's me.
I want to do that.
That's me.
That was where my desire for Alpha Kappa Alpha really set it off. And and I let go of any and all other things.
And what's interesting about your story, Jaquetta, is that I didn't really know much about anything else other than AKA. Now, of course, when I got on campus, I made myself aware of others, but it was never a doubt. And that I love your story because it's just that one impression.
Yeah.
That can change your mind,
Completely changed it.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I was like, even if you didn't know me or what have you, but just kind of like, being a freshman, kind of being new to it and just kind of having that kind of reaction. I was like, yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
So talk about, when we met, when we were all on, line together, and I know it's more from just so many different things, intake process, things that you can and cannot say, but I like to hold fast to the history and the memories that we all shared, because I cannot believe it's been 32 years.
Yes, ma'am.
We have been AKAs for 32 years, Kathy.
Yes.
Is it all that you thought it would be?
Absolutely. And even more now. That's why I'm sitting here with this array of things over my head.
Let's talk about that.
I would do a whole panorama of you so you can
why don't you
really see? And this is almost 2 months after. So as you know, my daughter, my younger of my two, pledged and crossed November 17th at University of Miami at Iota New Chapter. And when I tell you, no one could ever tell you or imagine what that feels like. Mm-hmm. And I was also triply blessed in the fact that my husband is an Alpha, but in marrying my husband, I also married my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law, who are my sorors. So Gabrielle, who is my daughter that just crossed, is a third generation AKA. Girl, that thing. Oh, that sits so nice in my head. Oh,
legacy, baby. Nothing like legacy.
We did a welcoming to D9 because her godmother is a Delta. And I'm telling you, I really believe that a part of my rearing or our rearing of our daughters is that one, we definitely impressed upon them which of the organizations would be the best fit for them. However, we also taught them that we were sisters and brothers first. So in the selection of her godmother, Gabrielle actually selected her godmother, unbeknownst to all of these other things because of the person that she is. So I say all of that to say that lady, when I tell you Kim put it out for her godchild, she just blessed her with so many things, but also blessed her with so much, just wisdom and thoughtfulness. She's probably one of the most gracious and giving people I've ever met. But I brought her into this pink and green house. Oh! You see the balloons?
I see the balloons.
Yeah,
I see the
this
wall.
was the table. We had a whole table. We have mannequins. We have Miss Ivy here. My sister-in-law, Gabrielle, who Gabrielle is named after, traveled with me to Miami for the ceremony, and she was a part of that. So when I say it was a beautiful moment, so having my sister-in-law there represented my mother-in-law, sister-in-law, myself, and then here we have Gabrielle. What?
Did you cry when you had to pin her?
So I was sitting next to the graduate advisor. Precious woman, beautiful woman. She handed me a couple of tissues, but I showed her my handkerchief that I brought because I knew what it was going to be. Mm-hmm. Also, my sister-in-law had her own handkerchiefs because I'm a crier. I cry for happy, sad, mad, all of it. So I was ready for it to all come down, but I couldn't lose my lashes. So I had to make sure I pat. Oh, did you see my nails? So just just in case.
Y'all, I just want to let y'all know, Kathy has been like this since we were in college, y'all. Just so you know, keep going, Kathy, go.
So, in that moment, I was full. And in that moment, I just knew that Gabrielle's decision to do this was her decision because she could have chosen not to. Now, if she had
Yeah.
chosen anything else,
Uh-huh.
I would be in therapy, but she
Yeah.
could have chosen not to. But she
Right.
chose to. And in that, every day, we talked about the why. And I asked her, why are you doing this? It's not just because, I said, because paraphernalia stripped off, who are you inside as it
What did
connects
she
to this
say?
organization?
What did she
And
say?
she said she's one of those kids that, you have to have community service as a part of, just a application and all that. She's been that. That's who she is. She's a public health, global environment, double major with a minor in dance.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. It's well-rounded.
Mm-hmm.
And a full merit scholarship recipient at Miami. So I knew she had the scholarship there. I knew she had the community involvement and engagement. So she said, what I've seen since I've been here at Miami is that that's what the Iota New Chapters ladies at the time, because she couldn't call them sorors, that's what they emulate. They're always having different events, which she was, that were open to the public. She would, go and see how they moved and flowed. And she waited. So she waited she had an opportunity her freshman year. But she said, I want to wait, mommy. I want to make sure, that it's the right decision. And, I knew that. So I started, making sure I had all my stuff squared away. But
Right.
in the fact that I knew she needed that moment. And when she said, mommy, they're getting ready, I said, well, we stay ready. So her sponsors, or the young ladies that wrote her letters of sponsorship, are incredible women that are a part of the first chapter here in Georgia. Super active and have been a part of her life since, for years and years, one of which since she was born. So that too just built in, and it was just tremendous. So
And
I
one
don't
of the
know.
things I think that's really important too, I think, for people who are watching, young girls who may be seeing this, or grown women who still want to possibly be a part of Alpha Kappa Alpha, one of the things that I think that people do get enamored by is the whole idea of the pink and green and such, and they are wonderful. Let's be
Yes.
clear. But I also think that it is important to understand that it is service, it is given back to the community, is helping our community in spaces where there are gaps, where it be young people, wherever
Yes.
you travel and trod. We
Yes.
are about giving back, and we also are about service, and we
Yes.
also are about upliftment. So those are some of the ideals that were important to me, to Kathy, to her daughter. And not to say that the other sororities and fraternities, because I think by and large, we all do the same thing in that
Yes.
we give back. It just,
Correct.
it depends on what group you feel like you best fit with in
Yes.
order to do
Absolutely. And just knowing too that in Miami they have their National Panhellenic Council is incredibly present on their campus. So they do a lot of things together as a community. And in a PWI, it's warranted. And so to see how that looked when Gabrielle's line had their probate, everyone was there. In all colors. Oh my gosh, it was beautiful. And you could hear the Deltas who there was a line that had just recently gone over maybe a week or so before, in full presence, in their colors, of course, but cheering on their friends. You could tell that, again, as I mentioned, I taught my babies, and I have two. I taught my girls that we are sisters and brothers first. So the colors matter. Don't get me wrong. However, that's not where we started. And to always just think of that. So it was beautiful for her welcoming that we had Deltas. We had a Zeta or two. We had non-Greek here, because that was what it was about. It was welcoming her to D9. Yes, because her mama is over the top.
And that's Divine Nine for people who
I'm
don't know
sorry.
what D9
Yes, thank
is.
you.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that people
Yes,
understand.
I'm make sure the language is understood. I apologize.
No,
But her mama is over the top. So
well, let me say this though, because I think that it is important that people understand the Divine Nine. is comprised of 9 sororities and fraternities that are, African American. One of the things that I thought that was really important, which I love about our history, is that we started these Black Greek letter organizations because there was really no space and no place for us. So all of our founders, Black women and men, a part of these groups started because we wanted to come
Yes.
together and help our community. So I mentioned at the top of the show that there was an issue that some people were having with me when I noticed a young lady who was a white young girl, a woman, I guess, who is an AKA. And I had to admit that it always surprises me when I see somebody who doesn't have my same,
Yes, I
skin hue,
understand. Yes.
because the whole reason why we started is very specific. And there were plenty of Saras who understood what I was saying, and there were others who were like, they didn't. Whoever wants to be a part of it should be a part of it. What do you think about people who are non-Black who join Greek letter organizations, Black Greek letter organizations?
A part of my thought on that is the why.
Mm-hmm.
And until I know their why, I really try to hold the judgment,
Mm-hmm.
because I, not knowing what that young lady's um, history is, or what her life has been, or who
Mm-hmm.
has impacted her, she may have met
Mm-hmm.
a me. She may have
And
met
I
a
and I
you.
believe I believe she has. She did.
Yes.
Like that was her whole when I
Why?
went to do. Mm-hmm. But
Yeah.
here, but I guess my thing was I do think that there are places and spaces for alliances where we
Yes.
can all come together as a group of people. But I would be lying if I didn't say there were some spaces that I do admit that I like the historical reason behind them, and I'd like to kind of preserve it, to keep it. And I know everybody doesn't feel like I do, and they don't have to. It's just my personal feelings about working together for this specific thing. And I may change some years down the road, but I doubt it.
Maybe.
I doubt
And
it.
again, a part of my feeling on it, of course, is the why. And once I understand that, it's not that I think that we should have an influx of just wide open, but I always just want to know the why. And not that it matters one way or the other, because the decision has been made. It just helps me to understand more why someone would select to come to a predominantly Black
Black,
organization if they're non-Black.
black. Hmm.
And it just kind of has me think about when we have Black children or other children of color go to sororities that are not.
Hmm.
And I'm like, why? Like,
Why?
what is the connection? And then, of
Yeah.
course, when you talk with them, which isn't something that we're all privy to, but if you're able to speak to someone who is engaged into an organization like that and you listen, then you go, oh, okay, well, those are
Okay.
your decisions. As we
Hmm.
say, it's a free country right now. And
Yeah.
so, with that said,
I don't know how free the country is. I don't
you heard
know.
what I said
I
right
don't know.
now. Yeah. But so I try not to really think too deeply into it, other than just, what is your why? And hopefully your why is because you were impacted by a beautiful woman of color. You saw how
Mhm.
she moved in this world, and that's something you wanted to emulate. And in that, you are also invested in all that it took for her to do that. That it's not
Right.
just about you wearing some letters, that you are truly in it to win it, to be in there, to go to political situations, to go to community service opportunities, to just be present in all that it means to be a part of a Black or historically Black organization. That
Mhm.
you've invested in that it's not just about that social part,
Absolutely.
that you are in there to win that. And I mean, and that's something too I've spoken to my girls about, is that you commit to an organization and all of its variables. And in that, you have to make sure that you are not just there for a couple days, that you're not there
Hmm.
just for a moment, that you represent, because now that's a part of your brand.
Hmm.
And you have to just remember to uphold that. And
Hmm.
so that's kind of what I think about. I'd
Hmm.
rather just not wear the letters if you've decided to do something else.
Well, here's the thing too, and for the first time in my life, I always knew that being an AKA is, it is an important decision, and it is until death. You know, it is until death you become an ivy beyond the wall. And for the
Yes.
first time, when my former colleague Amanda Davis passed away, we all, all of us who did television news here in the Atlanta market went to her service, her funeral service. So there were all of the anchors who were standing in the line, but then there
Yes.
was also a section for AKA. So I kind of sat like right on the edge of both,
Yes.
like being the anchor woman and also
Right,
being an
right.
AKA to make
You
sure that
represented multiple
both of
facets.
them, yeah,
Right,
and
right.
and really that was the first time being a part of that ceremony and watching what that what that was like. So
Hmm.
it is a decision that you make, and it's one that I have not regretted, not one
Ever.
minute of my life. Yeah,
Not once. And I'm
yeah.
always finding myself in a large pool of other organizational
Hmm.
representations.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh. And I hold it very
yeah.
strong.
Yes, you do. I've seen you. And
I'm
here's the
quite
thing,
concentrated,
much
is what
much
I
like
say.
you, honey, I have been around a bunch of deltas. Like I got a lot of friends who are close friends deltas, and those deltas, baby, they can come in deep. I'm not
Yes,
mad at them,
not at all.
but you and I could be the one and the two
Concentrated.
in a sea of the 50, because we still holding
And
it
we're
down.
still going to be the nucleus,
Yes, ma'am.
because
Because
that is from which we all were born.
there we go. There, speak on it. Speak on it. You better tell them.
Respect. Respect. Doggone it. And you know what, Jaquetta, you brought up something really beautiful about the commitment. And I know that my children have seen that, because my mother-in-law actually is an ivy beyond the wall. So that's why it was absolutely so meaningful with my sister-in-law being there, just representing herself, with Gabrielle being her namesake. But beyond that, that she represented my mother-in-law. And so she was a part of the ceremony. She had an opportunity to be a part of the ceremony. And it was beautiful. And it's so much so Gabrielle is into vintage things, and just things that are the roots or the foundations. So my sister-in-law was able to gift, through my father-in-law, to gift Gabrielle with my mother-in-law's Ivy notebook, her scrapbook. I don't know if I can show you.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
I'm trying to,
Sure.
let me see if I can do this. So this, can you see? This is
Absolutely.
her scrapbook. Now, it is just that, but it opens up to pictures of her. Why? This is my mother-in-law.
Beautiful.
This is my husband. This is what
Ah.
this book. Now, we've lost a picture of her husband, my father-in-law, and that's
Mhm.
my sister-in-law, Gabrielle. So this is just like a page, but you can tell
Mhm.
from the coloration of the pages.
History,
And
lineage.
oh,
Yes,
yes,
absolutely.
absolutely. And
Mhm.
then this is the part that really I thought was beautiful, that my sister-in-law gifted her with. This is an ivy leaf, which, as you know, is our publication.
Absolutely.
Dequetta, this is from 1962.
Wow.
Yes, so
Wow.
beautiful. 64. I mean, just
Absolutely.
beautiful pieces. And then not only is my mother-in-law a soror, but my aunt, Aunt Talitha, who is my mother-in-law's sister, is also a soror. So we have her Ivy notebook as well. Hers is fashioned a little differently. This one is it, with the beautiful velvet, pink and
Mhm.
green, just gorgeous,
It
gorgeous. And
certainly
so
is.
my husband and I are trying to just work through how to archive it so that it can, maintain its structure as best
And
as
be passed
possible.
down too.
Oh
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I don't know what will happen when that happens. Ooh, Lord. Oh my goodness. But just knowing that my sister-in-law knows that about her niece, that would have been important.
Mhm.
It was phenomenal. So when she crossed, and we were able to kind of reveal some of the gifts and things, another thing that Eileen is what I call my sister-in-law, our soror Eileen gifted to Gabrielle was a photograph of my mother-in-law um, at the chartering of the chapter at University of Alabama, Birmingham. So she's a charter member of that chapter for the University of Alabama, Birmingham, UAB. And so she gifted her a framed picture of my soror or our soror Gussie sitting at that table, and she's right there on the end, so she stands out. So it was incredible, and so many of her line sisters were like, "Oh my god, all of that." So it was
Right. One of the things that before we go, Kathy, I will say that much like Kathy, I am an only child. So, excuse me, being a part of a sorority gave me a built-in group of sisters
yes,
from the time that I was in college up until this moment. And of course, I know a lot of things have happened in all of our lives, but the one thing about being a part of a sorority is knowing that you have people who you can look to who will be your sisters for the rest of your life, and you can
absolutely.
do community service with and all of the amazing things. Before I go, Kathy, I asked this of you. I want to know, what do you love about being Black?
Woo! Come on. Okay. So I walk in that. So I am um, a deep chocolate, right? And so my husband is of the lighter hue of the spectrum, right? So we knew that when we were having our babies that we weren't sure what was going to happen because, whatever. So one of the things that I taught my children was that this right here this is like gold, and everybody can't have it. So we walk in this house. Everybody can't have this melanin, and to treasure it and to see how we stand in this, no matter the obstacles, no matter the challenges, that we are still walking tall and walking in it. Again, being an only child, all eggs in one basket, I made sure that as my parents walk and talk and people connect to, oh, Kathy is your child, is that they could be proud of that and that I could be a representation of their brand. And that is me being a Black woman who's a mom, who's a teacher, who works with just keeping people or getting people employed. It's just, if I had an opportunity when God created me to say, okay, which one of these colors would you pick? Oh, I'm gonna pick that one right there all day long and twice on Sunday. I would not imagine how this would be any different, how my life could be any more enriched if I were anything other than a Black woman.
Hmm. And to that, I say thank you, Kathy. I
You're
appreciate you
welcome.
taking the time to talk to me.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it.
of course,
Yeah.
always, always, always. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And we'll see
Thank
you
you.
guys later.